Sometimes the best way to learn something new is to watch someone who knows generally what they're doing. And that's what this video is about. But along the way, we'll also discover ways to make sure the mount is ready to be used, how to restart, how to quickly and precisely align and synchronize the mount, and how to get focused and stay in focused, and how to know that the telescope is still in focus during the capture, and a little bit about time management. So I hope this is a big help to you. If it is, please do subscribe and give me your comments below. First thing I do is bring up the planetarium program and my guiding program, PhD2, and I use a program called Astrophotography Tools, APT, that it does all of the imaging and most of the heavy lifting for me. So first thing I do when I come in is turn on the cooler, because what I want to do is connect to the well, I guess first thing is turn it all on. So here, so the first thing we'll do is turn it all on. I have a battery backup that I use. That's turn that on first, and then I'm going to set my telescope to counterweights down position. So that's counterweights down, and then pointing as much due north as possible. So I have a setting here, and because I'm in a basically observatory, I'm able to get everything locked in place on the polar alignment, and that's one thing I don't have to do every night now. So I have that set for counterweights down position, and of course turn it on. And I have everything connected into a hub. I use a USB 3 hub because my camera's a USB 3, and then I will plug that into my computer. If I don't, if I leave that plugged in, then the fans keep running on the camera, and that's not something I want to happen. So now that I have that, I can connect to the camera
connected.
And of course I can connect to the telescope, really the mount.
Telescope connected.
And to the focuser.
Focuser connected.
Now one thing I see here on the what comes up on the screen is that, let's see if I can get this. So one thing that comes up on the screen right here is it tells me the LST, the RA, the DEC, the AZ, the ALT, so the azimuth and the altitude. And those are really good numbers to kind of help me give a sanity check. So the LST, that's the local sidereal time. I go to my LST clock, turn that on, and it shows that the LST is 2301 and 26 seconds, and this is 2327 seconds. So within a minute. I mean, and that's more than enough. Close enough. RA I don't really care about right now. The declination is at plus 90. That tells me I'm pointed at the North Pole, at the North Celestial Pole. The azimuth is 0. That's also the north, due north, and the altitude is 30. And that altitude agrees with the altitude of, the latitude of where I am. So I'm in north side of Houston. I'm at about 30 degrees altitude. So I look at those numbers and I know that I'm really close. I'm, just a really quick sanity check to let me know that my computer's happy with where I am in the world and the sky and everything. So the next thing I'm going to do after I turn everything on is turn the cooler on. Now with my ZWO camera, I've not really had a need to use their special tool, but I guess I could. I don't know. It seems to get in the way more than it helps, but maybe with other cameras it would be important, so I wouldn't recommend skipping it. And then we need to go ahead and open the top. First thing I'll do is turn my white lights off. And turn those off. And now as soon as I open the top, I have another red light that'll come on. Oh, I guess I better not do that quite yet. Okay, so let me turn this off, get it out of the way. Okay, so let me try this again. Alright. So now we'll put this back to zenith, lock it down, and turn it on. And because I was parked, I'm still okay. At least I hope I was still parked. Let me double check. And no, I was not. So let me park. Okay, so what I have to do now is start over again. Which means I need to disconnect the scope.
Telescope disconnected.
And I only had it connected to APT, so I'm good. If I had connected it to other things, I would need to also reconnect to those, or unconnect from those. And now I can reconnect the scope back.
Telescope connected.
And now it's telling me my altitude is 30 degrees, so I know it's happy. Even though I almost ran over it with the roof. Okay, it happens. Alright, then I will start my live view, and we'll do a video live view here. Turn off the auto stretch. Okay, and I like what I'm seeing so far. I'm going to shoot some more in the California Nebula tonight. That's also known as NGC 1499. And so first, before I do that, I want to find a bright star nearby so I can get focused up and synchronized, and then once I'm in focus and synchronized, then I can start shooting at that point. So I'm going to go to Algol, that's nearby, and I will go the gear. I'll just bring up objects and select stars, Algol, and go to. And while that's doing that, I'm going to get another layer of, it's all about time management. So now I'm not exactly looking right at Algol, but I'm in the neighborhood. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put on my focus mask. I use a Batinoff mask for all of my focusing, and then I will do a plate solve, and then from the plate solve I'll go back to Algol, and then I can finish up my focusing with the Batinoff mask. The Batinoff mask I use is in two parts, and I have magnets on them so they snap together. I'm looking at my stars and they look very much in focus. I'm very happy with the focus I have on my stars. So I'm going to bring up point craft, and then I will click the scope position and
Sky clock event.
Click solve. So if you're using live video, it won't solve from live video. So I have to turn that off and wait for it to get a normal, I think I have it set for 10 seconds frame. There it is, 10 seconds. I downloaded it. Do a stretch on it so I can see it. Yep, there it is. And the stars are not brilliantly in focus, but they're close enough because the PlateSolve software is going to use the centroid. In other words, it's going to look for the middle of whatever blob that it finds and say that that's where the star position is. So the fact that they're not perfectly in focus is okay. So I'm going to scope position and solve. And we wait. So my
Image solved.
oh, there it goes, it solved. So it solved it, and now if I synchronize, press the sync button, now I have synchronized it. The plate solving knows exactly, the computer now knows exactly where the sky is, and the plate solving told it, and now I have synchronized what it knows where it is and where it is. So now they're synced up. Now I can find anything pretty much. So now I can go and say go to again, and this time it will go to that what it thought was the same place in the sky, but now it actually knows where the sky is and will go indeed and center up exactly on Algol, which was our destination. So there it is. Then we'll go back to live video. And I can go to tools and turn on the magnifier. So let's go to gear, and the focuser is connected up. So I see I need to, because I always put the Batinoff mask on the same way each time, I put it with the slots that are at an angle. I put that on the bottom. I put the straight up and down slots on the top, and then that way I can see the pattern that is being displayed here, and I know that I need how to move the things. If I did it differently each time, I wouldn't know that, but by doing it each time, I now know which way to move things. So I'm going to move it out. So I'm getting close. I'm going to increase my magnification to 5x. And what I'm looking for is there's a gap between, you have the X, the big X, and the line going down the middle. Well, there's a gap on either side of the line going down the middle. And depending on the seeing, that line will bounce back and forth a little bit. And I want it to bounce exactly the same on both sides. So that's why I'm using 1 second exposures with a gain of 450. 450 is the highest gain for this particular camera. So that's looking pretty good. I'm kind of getting, it's bouncing back and forth the same on both sides. So I'm happy with that. And let me take the Batinoff mask off. Okay, so now I got the Batinoff mask off. Now one other thing I did do is I painted one side darker than the other side, so that even in the dark I can tell if I have it on there correctly and not one side flipped around the other way. That would be a bad thing, because then the magnets wouldn't grab a hold of each other. I had the magnets offset. So now I am looking at Algol. I'm happy with my focus. I have synchronized. So the sky is my oyster. Now at this point I'm going to go to the plate solving, the go to plus plate solving. So look up objects, and what I'm doing tonight is a custom object that I imported from Carte du Ciel. That's the French sky charts, and I'm grabbing part of a mosaic. Okay, so there it is. I say OK. And then just press the go to ++. It's going to slew to where it thinks it is, and then pause a moment. We'll let the mount settle down, and then it will make an image of it, plate solve that image, and determine if it needs to move a little further to make some fine-tuning adjustment. So it found 100 stars, and it solved that plate in 7 seconds.
Exposure finished.
And determined it was off by 331 pixels. So it's taking another image.
Go to ++ finished.
And now it's within 40 pixels. So this is a ASI 183. So it uses 2.4 micron pixels. Now I'm looking at my image, and I don't see the California Nebula at all, and nor will I. The way that one-shot color cameras work is all cameras are most sensitive in the green spectrum, and the sky, of course, even though the sky is dark, it's still blue. So what I will see in my histogram are 3 lumps. I will see 1 lump for red, 1 lump for green, blue, 1 lump for green, in that order. Behind the green is blue, behind that is the red. So I'm not going to see, I may see just a little faint fuzzy outline of the actual nebula that I'm shooting. The California Nebula is, of course, hydrogen alpha, which is completely red. So I won't see anything on my screen. I just have to accept by faith that I'm going to get something. And I've done this enough times to know that, yep, I'm going to get something. So there are other objects, such as the Orion Nebula. They have some green in them. So you can see, oh, there it is, right there in front of you. But a lot of the objects that we shoot, especially the dimmer objects, you don't see anything of the actual object, or you see just very, very faint. And you just have to accept by faith that it's all going to come out when we go into post-processing. Okay, so my cooler has been on. I am at temperature. I am focused. I am exactly centered where I need to be. I'll go to the camera, and I have a plan, which is this is Mosaic, so I have 5 frames that I'm eventually going to all stack together. 5 tiles, that's what it is. I have 5 tiles that'll eventually all stack together into one image. And I know that they're all shot at 120 seconds. And I am using the L Enhance filter from Optilong. And I'll explain, after I get this started, I'll explain like all the others. So I just press start, and it brings up the object name, which is great. I love that it does that. I'll say OK.
Exposure started.
Exposure is started. 120 seconds later, it'll finish that exposure and go to the next one. And I'll just keep doing that 40 times over. Now, the reason I use the L Enhance filter is because I'm shooting one-shot color. I'm not shooting monochrome with hydrogen alpha and oxygen and sulfur. I'm shooting one-shot color, and I know that this particular object doesn't have any sulfur. It's just a primordial hydrogen alpha cloud that's floating in space. And because of that, I only really need hydrogen alpha. That's the only thing I need to get, but I need to balance that with other colors so that all my stars aren't red too. I mean, that doesn't do you any good if you're trying to make it red. So the L Enhance, with enough finagling, you can actually bring out some of that blue and bring out some of the green in the stars and mix that with the red in the stars and get stars that are more or less the colors they should be. And I'm able to do that with one exposure. Done. One and done. That's what I love about the way that this whole system works, the way they have it set up. And as I get more time, I'm going to go through each and every one of these steps that I'm showing you here individually, so that you can get a good idea of how to do each one of the things. I'm just totally, I'm sitting down, going through the whole thing. My counter says I'm 20 minutes into it. So from the time I walked in, 20 minutes later, I'm doing photography. And because I'm using one-shot color and the L-enhanced filter and the Hyperstar.
Exposure finished.
Okay, so the first one finished. Let me take a look at it here.
Exposure started.
And of course it's blown out because I need to unstretch. Yeah, okay, that looks good. I have round stars, even though I forgot to start my guiding. And that's just because I have really good polar alignment. Guiding is almost not even necessary. It's just kind of guiding is really just a way to keep the whole rig on track more than anything else.
Exposure finished.
Okay, we're about halfway done. I just wanted to check in, let you know what was going on here.
Started.
So I put another layer on. It's all the way down to 55 in Houston, so yeah, sorry about that, guys. Anyway, I wanted to show you another thing I'm doing is I run a program called Splashtop, and using Splashtop I can connect to the PC that I'm using to do my run all my programs and the mount and everything, and then I can switch. I can look at it and I can take it inside, which is what I'm doing, and I can switch to the other screens. I have two screens set up on this computer, so I can switch over to the other screen and check the stars and make sure they're good and tight, and if I see any problems there, I'll know it right away, because usually where you see the problems first is in tracking, and the tracking program will keep throwing errors, dinging at you, hey, I can't find a star, and that's pretty good indication that things are starting to go awry. Tonight, though, is extremely clear and extremely dry for Houston. Where are we now? We're down to 29% humidity. Literally, last night I was out doing the same thing, and it was 81% humidity. So I am elated that we have such good humidity tonight. Started nice and tight. There it goes. You can see this is still from the last frame, so started looking great. I usually keep a little 3x or 5x of an area with stars in it that I can just kind of monitor, and I try to find an area that has different magnitudes of stars, so the ones that are really dim, if they start dropping off, I'll know that my focus is also dropping off. Here's the histogram with the 3 bumps on it, red, blue, and green, going from left to right, and that's just the nature of the beast. And you can see the overall picture is mostly blue and green, and you can almost kind of see a little red streak going through it. Well, when we go into post, that red streak will be what we're going to concentrate on. Well, I hope that was useful to you. If it was, again, do subscribe and stay tuned for more videos where we will explore how to edit what was captured, how to tile the mosaics together, and just a whole bunch more stuff that all related to astrophotography under the bright lights in the big city.